All right, we can go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All Illinois Students, which is sponsored by the Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we get started this evening. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type any questions to our presenter at any time during this presentation. Your camera and your microphone are turned off, so panelists cannot see or hear you during this session. This is just one of the many different sessions that is happening currently, so please be sure to check out the full schedule at IACAC.org. This presentation also is being recorded and will be available within 1 week on the same website, IACAC.org. Now I would like to go ahead and turn it over to Concordia University in Montreal.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Dylan DeChico, and I am the Student Recruitment Officer at Concordia University for students applying from the US. So I am basically your main point of contact if you have any questions about the application process or about what student life is like. Just to give you a very quick bio of myself, I once was a Concordia student. I did my degree in fine arts. And then once I graduated, I started working with recruitment. So I kind of had the best of both worlds of being a student at Concordia and also being able to represent Concordia. So if you have any questions, I will answer questions from the Q&A after the presentation. Because I am on a tablet, I won't be able to see the questions at the same time as I'm presenting. So at the very end, I'll give a couple minutes just to go through those questions. I'm going to do a little bit of a short presentation. I'm hoping to keep it to about 15 minutes. I know many of us are very zoomed out, so I just want to make sure that I give you most of the information in a short amount of time. And then that way, if there's any questions at the end, I will answer them, or you can contact me by email, which I will provide to you at the end. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen so you can see what I will be presenting. Perfect. Okay, so welcome to Concordia. As I mentioned, Q&A feature, you can fill it up with questions, and I will do my best to go through them all once the presentation is over. Okay, so where is Concordia located? So we are in Canada, so just above the United States. We're kind of the big hat that just sits on top, and we're in the more eastern side of the country. So we do have 10 provinces and 3 territories. So all of our provinces are near the bottom that are kind of on the border with the US. And then our territories are up in the north. So we're located in central Canada, a little bit more on the eastern side, which is Ontario and Quebec. And then everything to the east of us is the Maritimes and Atlantic Canada. And then to the west, you have the prairies and you have British Columbia, which is just above Washington State. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly cover why it's something to think about studying in Canada. So one, any degree that you received at any of our Canadian universities will be recognized around the world. So if you want to come study in Canada, get your bachelor's and then go back to the US and do your master's or postgraduate degree, then that is definitely possible. Our tuition is very affordable. So at Concordia, our tuition is about $21,000 to $27,000 Canadian for one academic year. So especially with the US dollar being pretty strong these days, it's pretty good. And then also too, there's a lot of opportunities for you to stay in Canada after you graduate. So with your student visa, if you would like to stay for up to 3 years, you can work on your permanent residency. You could eventually get citizenship, or you can just stay for 3 years because you're having fun and you're not ready to go home yet. And then also, it's a really nice way to have an international experience while studying close to home. So Canada, I know it's very close. You know, in Canada, we really see the US as our neighbors. So it can be very easy to forget that even though coming to Canada is just kind of, you know, a drive away, maybe just a short flight away, it is a completely different country that you would be studying in. So we're located in Montreal. So we're actually the best student city in North America, and we're the best student city, the 6th best overall in the world. So it's a really great place to study. As much as I loved Concordia and knew that I wanted to go into the fine arts program, being able to study in Montreal was actually a big part of my decision as well, because it's such a fun place to live. We have so much culture happening here. We have really good food like the poutine, which is our dish in Canada, but mostly in Quebec. We do have all the seasons. I know in Illinois, you also get winters, so you're a little bit used to it. We really don't let winter stop us in Montreal. As you can see this person outside biking, people like to do it. I do not bike in the winter, but I do bike all summer long. It's a great biking city as well. So there's always something fun happening in Montreal, no matter what time of year it is. So to talk a little bit more about Concordia, so we have two campuses at Concordia. One of them is very urban, it's downtown. And then the other one is a little bit more of what you would kind of see as like a community campus vibe. So lots of green space, lots of open space, and it's very self-contained. So at Concordia, we have about 52,000 students, and then about 10% of those, about 10,000, a little bit more of those students are graduate. So we have about 37,000 undergraduate students. The remaining few are like independent students and other kind of forms of students. 20% of our students are international. So we do have people from all around the world, a lot of students coming from the States. But even though we are a large school, 75% of our classes are 60 students or less, and we have one professor for every 27 students. So I had classes that were, maybe a couple hundred people my first year, and then they very quickly dropped down to 60. And then I had some classes that were like 10 to 20 people, depending on whether it was a studio class or something like that. So we do have small class sizes. We have all of our programs divided into 4 different faculties. So we have the faculty of John Molson, so the John Molson School of Business. We have the faculty of Arts and Science. This is our largest one at Concordia. So within the faculty of Arts and Science, we have all of our humanities, and then we also have our human sciences like biology, chemistry, physics, exercise science. We have our faculty of Fine Arts, and then we have our Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science. So this is our downtown campus. All the buildings that you see with the Concordia logo on them are part of Concordia, but we do own an additional 66 buildings to those. So pretty much everything that you see, except for most of the high rises, which are apartment buildings, do belong to Concordia in some way or another. We also have a metro station, so a subway station right downtown in one of our buildings. So you can see the logo for our metro. It's the blue logo with the white arrow. So it's very easy to get around to get into the downtown campus. And then we also have a tunnel system that joins most of these buildings. So once you're in the metro, you get out at the building and you can kind of get to any of your classes without having to go outside. So just down the street, about 7 kilometers, we have our Loyola campus. So it's much more contained. You can kind of tell exactly where all the buildings are. So this is where we have our journalism, and also where we have psychology, where we have our human sciences, and then also where we have our sports facilities. So you can see at the bottom, we have our football field. We have like an ice hockey rink. So we do have a lot of sports that are happening at Concordia that I'll talk about in just a little bit. So one thing that really attracted me to Concordia was all the student services. Something that I was really afraid about going to a university. I came from a town of about 7,000 people. Going to a large university was that I was kind of afraid that I would sort of be just like another number in the system. We have so many services here that really help you out as a student to kind of shine and do your best academically. So one that's very useful is the International Students Office. They have a whole bunch of events that are going on. So if you just want to meet other students that are coming from outside of Canada, then they do like movie nights, they do cooking nights. They do all of these over Zoom now that things are being taught remotely. So there is a wide variety of events that you can do with them. They're also going to be your main point of contact for when you're trying to get your student visa. They're going to be able to help you out. They have a whole bunch of advisors who can kind of help you settle into Canada and just kind of, help that process go a lot more smoothly. We also have our financial aid and awards office. So if you are looking for any kind of bursaries, we do have entrance bursaries that are available. So if you get accepted to Concordia, you'll automatically be considered for these entrance bursaries. You don't have to apply for them directly. They basically just look at your transcripts and decide which ones you would be eligible for. And then if you do get awarded with one of them, it will be sent, you'll be notified by email. We also have our Student Success Center. I think this is one of the most important services that we offer. They'll be running all of the orientation events at the beginning of the semester. They'll be doing a whole bunch of events with you to kind of get you more comfortable with Concordia and Montreal. But throughout your studies, they also have a lot of really good opportunities to help you improve yourself as a student. So for example, they will look over any essay that you have just to make sure that everything is proper. All of your references are done properly. So like there's really no reason to be worried that you're handing something in that could be better. They will look over all of it for you. They also have free tutoring as well. So if you're stuck in one of your classes, you can go in and get help. And then they also have a mentor system. So in your first year, if you want to be teamed up with a current Concordia student, they basically team you up with them. They're kind of your go-to person if you have questions about like where to get the best pizza, where can you get a certain service, like if you need help with something, like where can you go? And then they'll also give you a call during your exams to make sure that you're doing okay, you're not too stressed, and that everything is going smoothly. We also have the Access Center for students with disabilities. So if you have any form of disability, whether it's visible or not, they will be able to help you out. We also have HOJO, which is our Housing and Job Bank. So if you're looking for housing off campus, or if you're looking for an on-campus or off-campus job, they can really help you out with that. With your student visa, you can work 20 hours a week while you're studying and 40 hours a week when you're not, so during the summertime. And then as I mentioned before, if you do want to stay in Montreal after your degree, you can stay for up to 3 years once you graduate. And then we also have health services. So we do have a clinic that is right down, like that is on both campuses. So if you ever need to see doctors or see a nurse, you can do that on campus. All international students have to get a health plan that is provided through the International Students Office. We have all of our rates for that online at the International Student Office website. So if you are interested in knowing what you can kind of get through your health services, then that is listed on our website. And then I just want to remind everyone that everything that we have in terms of student services are offered virtually. So we have them, all updated during these times. So this is the mentor crew. These are just some examples. We have students that come through every single year, but just if you ever do want to have a student mentor, it's definitely worth signing up for. And then later on in your degree, if you want to be a mentor, it's a very fulfilling position to have. And then our athletics at Concordia, so we have a gym on each campus. The gym memberships are about $80 for a semester, Canadian, so it's quite affordable. We have like a full weight room, conditioning room. We also have a ton of different classes, so if you want to do like martial arts, if you want to do spin class, boot camp class, they have all those available. And then we have 9 different varsity teams. We have a bunch of intramural teams as well. And if there's anything that we don't offer in terms of intramurals or varsity, we do have a bunch of student groups. So we have like a ski club, a snowboard club, golf club. So we have all of these different things that are offered for you. One thing that's really important at Concordia is learning by experience. So basically in your first year of studies, typically students will be learning hands-on pretty much right away. So if you are in fine arts, you'll be in studio classes. If you're in engineering, biology, chemistry, exercise science, you'll be in labs within your first year. You will be taking some theory courses as well, but some other schools kind of require you to take all theory courses in your first year, and then maybe in your second year you can start going in, getting your hands dirty. But at Concordia, it's pretty much right away. Especially if you're in exercise science, basically your classroom is going to be a gym, which is pretty fun. So it's a lot of hands-on learning. Some other ways that you can get that kind of experiential learning is by doing a study abroad program. So if you ever want to study at a different university somewhere in the world, you can do that through this program. We have a bunch of different universities that are listed on our website that you can apply to. And the nice thing is that if you are going to do study abroad, you will be paying Concordia tuition. So you don't have to worry about paying a higher tuition somewhere else. You will be paying the exact amount that you would be paying at Concordia. One thing that I do want to mention, I don't have a slide for it, but we also have a really strong co-op program as well. So if you are interested in doing kind of like a work study program, we definitely have that. So the co-op program is pretty much available for all students, except for students in fine arts. It's not offered to the fine arts faculty, and there's some departments that don't offer it. But overall, it's quite easy to check. We have them all listed on our co-op website. Just to give you a little description of what that is. So basically, you're alternating working and studying. So you work one semester and then you study the next semester. You work one semester and you do that all year round. So it does go throughout the summer. The nice thing is that you work in your field. So by the time that you graduate, you have about a year and a half of work experience in your field, and you get paid for it. So it's not an internship where you don't get paid. It's actually something that you get paid for, you get experience, and by the time you graduate, sometimes the companies will hire students just right out of school, or other students will want to go on to different things, but they have that experience with them. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the admission process. So this is sort of the general grades that we are looking for all of our faculties. I would maybe recommend just grabbing a little screenshot of this just so you can kind of have it as a reference. So you can see all 4 of our faculties are listed on the left side. And then on the right side, it just kind of tells you what the grades are that you need to get into that faculty. We don't look at ACTs or SATs. We never have. I know with COVID, a lot of the tests are being canceled, but it's something that we've never looked at and we never will look at. So we're really just looking for your high school grades. If you're doing IB or AP courses or anything like that, we'll be looking at that as well. Same with the French bac, but we're not looking for any kind of standardized testing. There are some programs that will require additional documentation. So for most programs, you just have to provide us with your transcripts, but there are some programs like fine arts, we do need to see a portfolio. If you're going into the performing arts, we're gonna have an audition or an interview, which can be done over Zoom or something like that. So you don't actually have to be on campus to do those. Okay, and so lastly, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the process for applying. So this is pretty condensed. On our website, we have a much longer explanation of it, but it's just to give you kind of like the overall idea of what our admissions process looks like. So one, we're not on the Common App, so you do have to apply directly through our university webpage. So you're just going to go to concordia.ca/apply, and you're going to be able to fill out the whole application there. There's also a step-by-step guide. So if you do want to have some help along the way, there is a guide to help you out. The application is going to cost you $103.50 Canadian. But with this application fee, you get to choose 3 programs. So we always tell students to choose the programs in order of preference, and you want to be strategic about it. So if, for example, you just randomly throw your top 3 choices in, if you get accepted to your first choice, which isn't actually the one that you want the most, then we cancel all of the other applications behind it. So just make sure you put it like first choice, second choice, third choice. We're going to ask you to upload all of your documents. So in terms of transcripts, we're only looking for unofficial transcripts with your application. So you can take a screenshot from your phone, you can take a photo of it, as long as it has all of the information like your name, your school name, and all of your grades on it, then it should be fine. If you are accepted to the university, that's when we're going to ask you for your official transcripts. We just don't want you to go through the process of getting your official transcripts, having to send them to us, it costs some money, and then if you don't get accepted, we don't give them back to you. And then the consent for release of information. So this is something that students typically will get a little stumped on and just kind of ask for clarification. If you want information about your application to be released to someone, you have to put their name in here, showing that you're giving consent. Typically, students will do this for a guidance counselor at their school, just so maybe the guidance counselor will be able to check in on your application, and that way you don't have to do it yourself. Or if you get a decision, sometimes the guidance counselor will hear of it as well. But it's totally up to you. If you don't want anyone else to have access to your file, then that is okay. The deadline to apply is February 1st, 2021. Make sure that you have your application in by then, and make sure that you have your documents in as well. It's very important that you meet the deadline, just because it will give you that extra little bit of time that if you are accepted, you will still have time to apply for your study permits. A quick overview of the study permits in Canada, specifically Quebec, is that if you get accepted to school in Quebec, whether it's at Concordia or another institution, you have to apply to 2 study permits. Your first one's going to be the CAQ, which is basically a permit to let you study in the province of Quebec. And then once you get your CAQ, you can apply for your study visa. In your acceptance letter, it will completely break this down for you. And you also have the International Students Office to help you out. They have advisors there. But just be aware that there is a little bit of a process to getting those visas to come and study in Canada. So that's the entire presentation. I just wanted to keep it a little short. So if you have questions, then I would be very happy to answer them. Make sure that you follow us on social media. I know that for our Facebook and for our Instagram account, we do have some people at Concordia who are running them. So if you have questions, you can actually send them messages in the chat. You can DM them. That way it's a very quick and easy way to get in touch. Otherwise, you can take a screenshot of this page because it does have my contact information there as well. So if you ever just want to send me an email, we can book a time to talk over Zoom, or we can just talk via email. Either way, whatever's easiest for you. And then I also want to say that this Saturday, October 24th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time, so from 8 till noon Central time, we are having our open house. It's fully virtual, so if you just want to swing in for a couple minutes, there's a few presentations. There's also the opportunity for you to speak to representatives from your faculty and also from your department. So it's a really great way just to kind of get to know Concordia a little bit more. Otherwise, that is the entire presentation. So if anyone has any questions, then by all means, I would be happy to answer them. Yes, okay, sorry, Mina, I'm just seeing this now. I can bring up the slide with the requirements for the school, just for each of the programs, and then that way you will be able to take a screenshot, and then you can keep that with you as well. So if you just want to grab a screenshot of that, I will bring it up. There you go. And of course, these are kind of just like the ranges. On our website, we have more detailed more detailed explanations for each program. So within each of these schools or each of these faculties, there will be varying grades that you will need to meet for certain programs. So it's really important to check in with our undergraduate program page, just so you can get those exact grades. But this is just to give you an idea of what you will need to get into each of the schools. Okay, so if there's any more questions, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, it was very nice giving this presentation, and I hope that you are in touch. If any questions come up in the future, it'd be great to hear from you, and it would also be great to see you at our open house this week. So I think at this point, I'll pass it back over to ScribeScan. If there are questions, you have my contact information, so please feel free to send me an email and I'll be happy to email you back.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to the students that are joining us today. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey that we'd appreciate you filling out to provide us any feedback. Also, this was one of many sessions being hosted, so please feel free to sign up for any additional sessions by visiting IACAC.org. In about a week, you will find this session's recording as well as all of the other session recordings, again, at that same website, which is IACAC.org. Thank you again for joining us this evening and have a wonderful rest of your night.